Hello everyone! Second and also final part of KuguInuShiba hiking story is upon us. More fun stuff happening! Did you think I will leave them alone now? Nah, we don't do that here. That would be too boring. Let's go! As always, special thanks to my lovely patrons and all of you who subscribe and watch these videos. You are keeping this channel alive and going. Thank you very much, and I hope you will enjoy. Just tell me what's wrong with my boyfriend. Why can't you? The rest of the lament got swallowed by a pained groan, and for a second he was really glad he was sitting down. The doctor sighed heavily and continued to carefully rub his chest with gauze to stabilize his cracked ribs in place. I would love to, believe me, if only to stop you from constantly moving. But as I said, the surgery is still ongoing. Shibayama shivered, subconsciously tightening his grip on Kugura's hand. Surgery. The race from the forest to the nearest hospital was a blur. All he could recall were all the bumps in the road as the ambulance sped down a hill, and the hands trying to hold him down on the stretches whenever he tried to move to finally find out what happened to Inuoka. And now he couldn't even get any proper answers to his questions. He just knew it was worse than a concussion. He would gladly scream his lungs out, let the frustration out until his throat started to hurt. But even breathing hurt like all hell, and he doubted other patients would appreciate it either. Or Kuguri. Glancing aside, he took in his boyfriend's pale complexion and wide eyes. He was trying to appear calm, that much was obvious, but Shibayama had known him long enough already to recognize the inner turmoil of emotions bubbling under the surface. Now. Kuguri flinched as if something hit him, his face twisting briefly with the motion, which just worried Shibayama more. He wanted to offer some calming words despite his own panic, but now... Are you sure you didn't hurt yourself? You should get checked too if you did. Kuguri shook his head, too fast to be believable. I'm fine, really. Don't worry about me, just try not to move too much, okay? I'm sure they'll tell us about so soon. Listen to your friend. You won't help anything right now anyway. Shibayama gritted his teeth when he saw Kuguri's shoulders slump with the word friend, but stayed silent. Sharing details about their relationship had always been tricky since they became a throuple, especially with strangers, and the last thing they needed were judgmental whispers behind their backs. And so he just squeezed Kuguri's hand again, hoping to convey the message. No matter what others thought, he was their boyfriend. Can we at least wait here for the results? Of course. Your condition isn't serious, so if you sign the release form, you can head home. However, I recommend caution. You took a huge fall, and it's not good to rush things. I understand. The doctor nodded and tightened the end of the bandage before nodding at the nurse. Alright then. Try to breathe slowly and not too deeply, and avoid fast movement. If you feel the pain intensifying, head to the nearest hospital. Also, remember to inform your doctor about this too. Will do. What should I sign? Are you sure you don't want to head home? I'll call you if something changes, I promise. No, we are not having this discussion again. But you should rest. Even the doctor said so. We can call you a taxi and... Now stop! Kuguri winced as if he actually slapped him and looked away, making Shibayama's heart ache. He didn't mean to sound so harsh, but having to argue about the same thing for the last 10 minutes, and with being no closer to finding out what happened to Inuoka, he was getting agitated. which of course gave him no right to hurt Kugure. With a careful sigh, he reached for Kugure's hand, giving it a gentle squeeze. Sorry, that was mean, I know. But I can't leave. Not until I know So is okay. I know you would call me, but I want to be here. And I don't want you to be here alone. That seemed to surprise Kugure if Shibama could judge from his expression. It wasn't a lie anyway. He didn't like the idea of leaving his boyfriends right now, despite knowing So was in good hands and now could take care of himself. However, he mainly wanted to stay to keep an eye on Kugure's health. Despite saying he was fine the whole time, he couldn't shake off the feeling that something was off about Kugure. It happened only occasionally, but he was sure he didn't imagine the flashes of pain crossing Kugure's face, or the hushed hisses escaping his mouth sometimes. He didn't know what was wrong, but something definitely was. And for some reason, Kugure decided to not say a word about it. Why though? We are in a hospital. If he's injured, there's no better place to say it than... His thoughts were interrupted by the door in front of them opening. He was about to jump up, but Kugure stopped him in time, the movement resulting only in a weak sting of pain in his chest. Thanks, darling. He then turned to the doctor who just exited the door. Is he alright? The doctor furrowed her brow briefly. You are here for... Inuoka So. I'm his partner. His stomach twisted with shame over concealing Kugure as their partner, but they agreed on that. It was better that way. Kugure said it himself just a few minutes ago. So why did it feel like he was betraying him with his words? They got us here together. He collapsed after a fall. Please tell me if he's alright. No one wanted to tell me anything, and... He winced when his shortening breath sent another wave of pain through his chest, the only thing keeping him from crumbling being Kugure's hand on his shoulder. The doctor's face softened with a compassionate smile as she crossed the hallway and settled next to them. Careful, please. We wouldn't want to worsen your condition. Your partner will be alright. Of course, it's difficult to say with certainty before he wakes up, but since he got here quickly, I believe he will recover without any lasting effects. Shibama could about cry with relief. Thank goodness. What happened? He was fine the whole time and then just collapsed. Ah, yes. You see, there was a hemorrhage pressing on his brain, most definitely as a result of the fall. That's why he lost consciousness so suddenly. Bleeding into the brain can be incredibly dangerous if not treated early on, but as I said, he was lucky to get here in time. An ice-cold shiver ran down Shibama's spine when he recalled Inuoka's words about his head hurting, and also the sudden change in his behavior. He should have known. He should have realized it sooner. Don't blame yourself. You aren't a trained professional and you were busy with your own injury. The important thing is that you are both alright. Shibama didn't have the strength to question how the woman knew what he was thinking about, too shaken and relieved to care. Right, they were okay. Nothing else mattered right now. Thank you. Can we see him? You'll have to wait for that, I'm afraid. But you can stay in the cafeteria or waiting area until we do all the needed checkups. Someone will come for you then. Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you for saving him. The doctor flashed him a smile. That's why we are here. Anxiously watching his boyfriend's chest to see even the tiniest movement definitely wasn't on his day-to-day agenda. And yet, here he was, doing exactly that as they said by Inuoka's bed, waiting for him to wake up after the surgery. Perhaps he was being too paranoid for no reason, but he didn't intend to risk something going wrong. Not again. Kugar seemed to share his thoughts, though it was difficult to tell since he hadn't stopped for a minute ever since they entered the room, always running around to take care of things even before Shibama said anything. Under normal circumstances, he would call it endearing, sweet even. However... You know you can sit down, right? You've been running around the whole day. Rest a bit. Kugar blinked in apparent confusion, as if the concept of resting was alien to him. It only furthered Shibama's worries. He just couldn't pinpoint what that something worrying him was. But you said your chest hurts when you sit in that chair. I'll just find another one, it's not a problem. Too fast. Everything Kugar did was too fast and jerky. Speaking, movements, breathing. Anything he did, he moved too fast. His words almost stumbled over next ones. His breathing was ragged, as if he was panicking. Or in pain. But I didn't mean to chase you out to look for a chair. Sit down, please. The way Kugar's eyes darted to the door and back, his hands clenching around the chair in his hands, told Shibama more than he would like to know. He gritted his teeth against the pain and reached for Kugar's hand to keep him from running away again. Sit down. You need to rest too. It took a while, but eventually Kugar set the chair on the floor and settled down, albeit reluctantly. I wanted to help. I know, and I appreciate it, really, but there is no need right now. And I don't like seeing you stressed like this. That seemed to finally work as Kugar slumped into the chair, his face scrunched in something too similar to pain to leave Shibama unbothered. Does something hurt? Huh? Oh, no, I just didn't run for a while and my legs ache a bit, but it's fine. Before Shibama could call him out for the obvious lie, since they all knew he went running at least twice a week, a movement out of order snapped Shibama's gaze back to Inuoka, making him forget everything else. So? A wave of relief washed over him when Inuoka's eyelids fluttered, and then his eyes finally opened. So literally... Shibama let out a short chuckle, which he regretted instantly as his ribs moved. But the pain would cease. The important thing was that Zoe was awake. How do you feel? Like trampled by a herd of elephants. Was that a herd of elephants? No, you fell down a cliff, remember? Ah, that explains it. He glanced around, slowly but surely regaining the missing consciousness before his gaze stopped at the two of them. Are you alright? Yuki, you fell too, right? What? Shh, I'm fine. Just a few cracked ribs. I got a shell for a while, but nothing horrible. Focus on yourself now, okay? What happened there? I remember when they got us up and... the way to the road. But after that... you collapsed. The doctor said you were bleeding into your brain. But they caught it in time, so you'll be fine. Oh. Was that why my head hurt? And why I was so mean to you? Sighing, Shibama squeezed his hand. You weren't mean. Don't worry about it, okay? It wasn't your fault. Inuoka didn't look convinced, but after some more reassurances, he finally relaxed back into the mattress. His eyes were still restless though, darting around until they stopped at Kugure. Did they take a look at you too? You got hurt too, right? Shibama furrowed his brow as he turned to Kugure too, taking note of the panicked look in his eyes. I didn't fall, remember? I just went to get you help. But you were limping. Back when we walked. I stumbled on the way, remember? It's fine. I'm fine, really. He cleared his throat, clenching his hands in his lap. Do you need something? You shouldn't move around, so if you need anything, just say a word, I'll get it for you. Both of you. It's not an issue, Slow down, okay? It's fine. We are fine. They were, right? Despite Kugure's words, Shibama didn't stop watching him for the next 2 days. Since Inoka mentioned limping, he paid more attention to Kugure's walk. And sure enough, he could see Kugure was favoring his left leg when he walked around, despite not limping per se. Even that was enough of a reason for worry though. Especially since Kugure just didn't stop at all. Just like before Inoka woke up, he didn't let either of them do anything he would deem too taxing, which was almost everything, running around them despite the obvious pain he was in. Never said anything, never complained. And Shibama worried more and more. Now I'm serious. If you got hurt back there, you have to have someone take a look at it. Kugure flinched, immediately averting his gaze, just like before whenever either of them asked about his health. I didn't get hurt. You were the ones who fell. I just went to get help. He was starting to sound like a broken record, and Shibama wasn't sure how long he could keep this going. He glanced at Inoka, who seemed to share his thoughts, looking as concerned as he felt. Your leg hurts, doesn't it? No? Yes, it does. I can see it hurts you to even walk, and yet you still won't sit down. Why? No, don't say you are fine. You aren't. Why don't you want to tell us? They were pushing too hard, Shibama knew that. Risked scaring Kugure back into his shell. But his health was more important. Instead of answering, Kugure turned away, his breath hitching with the motion. See? You are clearly in pain. Yuki. We are worried now. Just tell us what's wrong, please. But no matter his pleading, Kugure didn't even turn around and only whispered under his breath. Just let me help you. He then shook his head and rushed out of the room, saying something about having to fetch lunch for them. No! He startled when a faint cry echoed off of the walls, followed by a dull thud. No! As fast as he could, Shibama got up from the chair and rushed to Kugure, now sitting on the floor, the tormented whimpers falling from Kugure's lips, shattering his heart. What's wrong? What hurts? Another pained whine escaped through Kugure's gritted teeth. Shibama's eyes instinctively trailed to his legs, finding him clenching his hand around his right ankle. He carefully pried his hand away, mumbling a quiet apology when Kugure hissed. Don't move, okay? I'll just take a look. No, please. Shush! No more lying. He pushed his own pain to the back of his mind, focused solely on causing as little torture to Kugure as he could as he carefully took his shoe off. And then his stomach turned. The whole joint was swollen and distorted to the point of bones looking ready to burst through the skin itself colored into all shades of dark purple and black and feeling hot to the touch. So, call someone. How did you manage to walk on this for so long? And why? What were you thinking? Tears glimmered in Kugar's eyes. You needed help. And just like that, Shibama's heart broke into pieces. Ridden with guilt, he moved aside when the nurse knelt to Kugar's side, feeling like a robot as he repeated what just happened. Even after the nurse called over the same doctor who bandaged his ribs and they took Kugar out, saying something about surgery, his body moved on autopilot. The sight of Kugar's face twisted with pain and fear still firmly engraved into his mind. How did I let this go so far? Two excruciating hours and 3 arguments with the doctors later, they were reunited in the same room, each with a solid dose of painkillers flowing in their bloodstream. Shibama's chest constricted whenever his gaze brushed over the brace fixed on Kugar's ankle and the crutches leaned against his bed, the diagnosis still echoing through his head. I think we spent a whole year worth of luck just this week. Maybe 2 years. Yuki. With his heart aching, he left Inoka to sleep and moved his chair closer to Kugar's bed, squeezing his hand in both of his. Rest. You need it. Are you mad? He sighed. He wanted to be mad, desperately so. But hearing the weak voice chased even the tiniest bits of anger away. And so he shook his head, leaving a light kiss on Kugar's fingers. Just at myself for not checking up on you sooner. You wouldn't be in so much pain for so long if I did. He looked up, pain that had no connection to his cracked ribs spreading through his chest. Why didn't you tell us? You've been walking around on a broken bone for 3 days. You ran with it through a damn forest, and you didn't say anything even when it got infected. Why? He cupped Kugar's cheek before he could turn away, his heart aching when he spotted the tears in his eyes. I didn't help you. If I was faster, maybe you wouldn't fall. So I wanted to help you now, to expiate for it. No, you didn't get there sooner because you broke your ankle. And even if you did, who knows if you didn't just fall with us? At least I wouldn't be the only one uninjured. You were injured. And who would get us help if you fell too? Right, no one. Because we would all be at the bottom of a cliff. We got out of there thanks to you. You don't need to punish yourself for something that wasn't even your fault. Because no matter what Kugar said, or perhaps even thought, what he did wasn't anything other than a punishment for himself. And Shibama would gladly kick himself for not realizing that sooner. You've been with him for over a year already, damn it. You should know better. I'm sorry. Letting out another sigh, he gently wiped away the tears threatening to spill out of Kugar's eyes, inwardly cursing his ribcage for preventing him from going for a kiss. You can say sorry by taking care of yourself. We got lucky the infection didn't cost you that food, so let's keep it that way, okay? And never, ever hide your injuries from us again. Promise me that, please. I won't. I promise. Okay, good. Rest now, okay? You need it. And remember that we love you, no matter what. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. The sweet, sweet aroma of hiding injury from your partners because you feel guilty. One of my favorite tropes, actually. That's why I'm using it all the time. Anyway, I'm sorry for the slight delay. I know I said it's going to come out on Wednesday and it's Thursday, but there were some things that needed my attention a little bit more than this. But on the other hand, it looks like I will get a part-time job, finally, and quite well-paying one. So I can hopefully afford all that shit I want to buy from fandoms. Anyway, I digress. If you have any requests or ideas, the request form is linked in the video description. See you next time.